And welcome back to JK Out of the Closet. Today we have Ryan.
Wow.
Exciting.
Thanks, man.
Today we're talking about how you did City Drifters and Six Step.
It sounds so weird to hear you say my first cruise.
What does that mean?
No, it just sounds like a freaking one of these moments.
Yeah, it does.
Steve is so fed up with the dancer shit, it's hilarious.
It's AK, dude. It's hip hop.
Yeah, this was I guess like I still would look at this as the first life-changing thing that I went through was discovering dance. Which you're gonna fucking love. But it's not so much like
Just be supportive, Steve.
I am. I love this guy.
It's not so much discovering dance as it is discovering a better sense of self and like self-esteem and stuff. Let's try to make him throw up. So I guess like for context, most of my life, like leading up to becoming a dancer, I was super used to having like low self-esteem, like really low. Like I would just put myself beneath everybody all the time. And for people to like see me punking someone or bullying somebody, that's because I think I'm below them. Like it's a response that you do when you just think you're like always lesser than everybody, and I would just be used to that.
Why did you have such low self-esteem?
I don't know. I have no idea why.
I heard it's genetic.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just like the way I was raised. I think it's because like in my family, like academics is the only thing that mattered. And then I just wasn't doing as well my second year of high school as I like thought I would do. And so like if I wasn't getting like good grades, and basically that was just like failing at life. So then I always looked at myself like, damn, I fucked my future because I got a D in algebra or something.
Ryan, do something stupid. Do something
How stupid? Really stupid?
Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
My favorite student.
Oh, yeah, I know.
4.3 GPA
Oh,
guy.
hey, don't say that in front of these people.
After graduation, Ryan, when you march down the aisle, I will miss having the most intelligent student.
Aww.
Like 30 years of teaching.
So the way that I discovered dance is because I failed algebra. It's so closely, if not like completely correlated to that. It's like such a strange coincidence, but it all started because in high school, I did really well in I tested well in math to like get into the I guess college or regular high school algebra, but then like halfway through the year I was just having trouble with it, and then my teacher was like such a dick. I talked about it here before where like I started making jokes about algebra, and we got to that point in algebra where like the equation will say like L equals D over, it was all letters and variables, and then I was like saying, when is that gonna be useful? Like, am I gonna go to the checkout and they'll be like, your total comes to X over 5? I was just being a dick. And then she was like, get out. And then
Damn, over that?
yeah, over that. And then she made it so that she told the principal that like if he wants to be in algebra, then he's got to go to another school because I'm not going to teach that guy anymore. So she basically, that school didn't have enough algebra teachers. So like there's nowhere else I can take algebra in that high school. So because of that, I got sent to Don Bosco Tech, which was like nearby, but I would have to go there in the summer to do my math because she wasn't going to teach math to me.
So you'd go to that school for one class?
I would go to that school for one class, yeah, just in the summer. But then I guess like in high school, this maybe like was my freshman year, I was already kind of figuring out breaking. I was just kind of like doing it for fun. But everybody that I knew was just making fun of me about breaking. Because with breaking, unlike most other dances, when you're bad at it, it looks really funny. Obviously, the world knows that now.
That's a fact.
It's not like other dances where if you're learning, like even cultural dances, you don't look stupid. You just, you could just be better, but breaking, you look horrible. So for a year straight, all my friends were just making fun of me about it, saying I was never gonna be good at it. It's like, but it's kind of like a joke with your homies where like they just look at you like an idiot for doing it.
Stupid ass.
And so I was just used to that.
Was this during the San Gabriel date?
Yeah, it's San Gabriel Academy. So this is like 1997. And then 98, once it turned 98, I had to go to Don Bosco Tech. That's when I met other B-boys for the first time, like in the same, I guess, like phase as me, where we're just kind of figuring it out. And I noticed I wasn't really that bad. I was like, oh, dude, I'm not like the worst one here. And then I made friends with these guys, and we started our very first crew together. And it was actually called Boombastic. Which is like a really stupid name, but there was 5 of us in it, and the other guys, they ended up like going different paths later on, which is pretty funny. But the 5 of us, we would just practice all the time at school, like between classes and stuff. And then one day somebody's friend was like, hey, this local park wants like a group to like perform at this one like park day. Would you guys be willing to do a little like b-boy show? We were like, oh my god, yeah. Like it felt like we made it or something. And then so like we do this little park show. It's like on a little like tiny ass stage in the park. I think it was in Arcadia or something. And there's like 8 people watching it. And then we all like
You gotta bring out the linoleum to roll it out.
yeah. We do like this is fucking whack and everything. And then like afterwards, like we were all so emotional with each other. We're like, dude, friends forever, man.
I love
Let's
that
do it.
shit.
Yeah, it's
Love
like
that
so
shit,
fucking dumb. So 2 of the guys ended up moving out of state because their family moved. Because this is back when if your mom and dad do something, then you're going too. Yeah. So they left. One of those guys coincidentally ends up being the same guy that I was telling you guys about, where I had a friend who would jizz in the vanilla at the ice cream shop.
Oh, that guy.
That's that guy. Oh, and then
So you're friends forever with the jizzer.
yeah, well, I'm not friends with him anymore. Oh, yes. But those 2 guys moved to another state, and they ended up joining like a really big b-boy team that was like really known. And then
Just say it, dude. Just say it.
and then there's another I don't want to out this dude. And then another guy what's that?
Jizz
guy?
Yeah,
Vanilla
Jizz
Jizz guy.
Jizz guy and his brother, who became like a medical doctor, they both like moved to
You could probably narrow that down in a dance community.
yeah, good luck. And then, the 3rd dude, we had this black dude named Dominic, who's now like a really big DJ. He's like a pretty known DJ in Hollywood. And then the 4th guy was a friend named Mike Byrne, who's like the guy that I started my next crew with, called City Drifters.
City Drifters in the house. Congratulations, City Drifters. You guys earned it.
Okay, dude.
Let me see.
It's good for you.
Looks like my ass. Hit it.
Willie, get into it. We all ripped it. Jose, Kevin, everybody.
And in that crew, it was like we had like 10 guys, and we called it City Drifters because we kept getting kicked out of like practice spots, because like we would practice at Barnes Park or at like this like lobby of some building, and they would always be like, "You guys can't do that here." So we would have to like literally switch our whatever city we meet up in all the time. And then also, for some reason, all these guys kept moving too. So that was my first crew. All of the battle footage I have of me from like doing real actual b-boy battles was with that crew. Wow. And then basically that's all I did for maybe like 2.5 to 3 years.
Today's video is brought to you by Rocket Money. Can you guys Name every single thing you're subscribed to, like, you know, this streaming service, this VPN thing, this whatever thing, this like entertainment thing that you have and bought every month and it's like bleeding away. If you're like 74% of people out there, you don't know every single one. So good thing with Rocket Money, they can help you find all of this. Pinpoint which ones you don't want, I want to keep this, or maybe even renegotiate. It's really, really good for all of that.
Rocket Money is your personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings.
Rocket Money has over 5 million users, and it has saved a total of over 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members from up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features.
So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/offtherecord. That's rocketmoney.com/offtherecord. rocketmoney.com/offtherecord.
By the point where I was in like, no, 2003, sorry. I discovered the choreo scene that Anthony was like in and everything, which is where like they would do these big events and they would have all these like big dance teams with like 40 people do these shows, and then we would go to those and I would just watch them. I didn't know anybody there or anything. I only went to one called Ultimate Brawl, which was held in UCR, because one of my friends went to UCR and she was like volunteering at the event and she was like, you might like it. So then I went out there and then I saw this one team called Six Step, and they had like b-boys in it. They had people that looked like they were breaking. But then I was like, damn, these guys are fucking whack, dude, they suck. And then
What was their name?
Six Step. Their name was Six Step. And then like I would always just like talk shit about them and say they were terrible. And then just so happens like one of my friends ended up meeting one of those guys, and he was like, hey, those guys are actually pretty cool, like you should come practice with them at the session or whatever. And then I was like, yeah, we'll see about that. I'll go over there and I'll smoke them. Like I wanted to like push them around or some shit. And then we get there and they're like the nicest guys. And then I remember telling one of them, I was like, yeah, you know you guys aren't really that good, right? Like I was,
Damn, like that. Oh,
but then like his response was like, oh, well maybe like if you want to like help us out or join us, it'll like we could actually be pretty good.
Oh, that's the worst.
Wow.
Like a
You
really-
guys suck. Oh, maybe you could teach us how to not suck. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, they were just so nice. They were just like really good dudes. Yeah, they were really good dudes. So then like,
Did you feel like trash when they
I
said
did.
that?
I felt like shit because I think that's the first time that like anyone ever responded that way about like me like negging them.
Yeah.
So
You thought they were
Girls never
gonna,
did that.
you thought they were gonna be like, what's up, fool? And then you're like, let's show down then. Woo!
I really wanted them to be like assholes like me because I was like, oh, that's
But it turned around, verbal loving.
yeah.
jujitsu.
It flipped it, and that guy was Richie. Like Richie's this is like a nice, really nice dude. And he was like, yeah, man, we got a show coming up. Maybe you might want to like be a part of it somehow. Like just super friendly. And I was like, damn, I could be on that same stage of like all those people that I was watching. Like that'd be pretty cool. And so they let me make a section of like one of their shows and have a solo. And then and I just loved it, man. I was like, this is dope. And then from there, like a couple of other friends, like we all joined. It was like me, Eris, and then Hawk also like joined. And yeah, we were like, I remembered that there was just like, we were used to not winning. Like we would always be last place. And but then their whole vibe was like, we just like to go on there and have fun. We're not really trying to win anyway, whatever. We don't have the same formula with the satisfies the criteria to win anyway. Let's just go out and have fun. So like, you know that Six Step never was winning.
Yeah.
And then there was this one competition coming up called Vibe, and that's the competition that Anthony now, like, he's been hosting, and it's basically like the big one that everybody wants to win. And I remember I had went to this as a spectator one time, and I was like, damn, I could never be like good enough to be on this stage. And then
Because everyone was like super good.
yeah, it was like we wouldn't even be able to, I don't think, be approved to even compete. We were that low, but because
there was basically like a circuit, and there's only a couple that are kind of like the mecca of the actual scene.
Yeah.
And so different like universities or organizers might throw like different competitions, and you get your kind of like B-level teams to be a part of that. But like only like the top tier competitive teams would go to like a couple events. So that way, the criteria, it was harder. If you were like last place in most regular competitions, you weren't invited.
I see.
yeah,
Wow.
and I think the only reason that Six Step was eligible is because they were just such a token group. Like they were so like, oh, it wouldn't be the same if they weren't here. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, wow.
they were so socially close to everybody that it was like, just let them like compete. You know, it felt like
As a
that.
showrunner too, you don't want just like the top scoring ones all the time. You also want a good. It's a show.
People gotta go to the bathroom. I understand.
Yeah.
So like intermission people.
We knew that was coming up later in the year, so we're like, let's make a really good show and like train it so that by the time like we get to Vibe, we actually like can do pretty well. So then we made this new show, and it was like based off of the Lost Boys from like Hook, and we thought it was like so good. And then we did our first competition with it called Prelude, and we got last place.
Oh shit.
And then I remember like we had not just last place, but we had like our score was very far from the person second to last. Like we were really like low. And I remember reading the fucking scoring sheet, and I was like, God damn, we really fucking suck that bad. It was like some guy named Mario or whatever was like one of the judges, and he had like scored us so fucking low. I was like, I'm gonna kill this fucking guy.
You guys think you guys suck? Or like when you guys are done with your routine, are you guys like, hey, this is tight? And then you find out it
Yeah,
sucks.
no, back then, I think when you first start out, like, because like my experience of making real shows is almost zero. So we're just doing what we think is cool to us. And at the time, I hadn't yet learned how to like present stuff so that everyone would know what you're doing instead of just you.
Yeah.
So that first run of that show was like fucking awful. And I was like, damn, we really do suck. And then we just kept revising it. And every time we would take different gigs, we would change it a little bit to like figure out how to like maximize how it looks, and it would just get better and better. By the time Vibe came up, I remember Victor was like, he went to UCI at the time, so to Victor, that's also like a really big event in his own like community versus just the dance world. So he was like looking at it like, dude, like if we do well here, he's like, that's like my dream. And I was like, dude, that's my dream too. Like I used to come to this event. And then so I think this was 2006, 05, 06 or something.
I think that's 6.
Yeah, and then we competed and we got first place.
Wow, shit.
Which is like, when you compare that to what happened at Prelude, it's like night and day.
Wow.
Completely night and day. And that changed my life for the first time, because I was like, dude, I think I might have been wrong about like where my value stood as a member of something. Like, because even up until that point, I just thought I would, like, I've always looked at myself like a novelty person. I've never had a big man on campus moment my entire life. I've never had like a celebrated moment in that way. And I think from that happening, it really, especially because I didn't get to go to college until much later in life, so I didn't really have the college experience.
How old were you when you won that?
I think I was like 23.
So do you think, because you started off saying you had low self-esteem, do you think till this point you've always had low self-esteem until you won something?
Yeah, I think I really did. But but it wasn't that I had high self-esteem. I just stopped thinking about it. And I think that's the key. Like, it wasn't that I was like, now I'm fucking cool. Like, I didn't think that. I just stopped being concerned about, whenever I first shake hands with someone, I'm like a dog that goes below. You know what I mean?
You accepted your like, kind of, oh, it's not even gonna work anyway.
I just realized it just doesn't fucking
You
matter.
become numb.
It just doesn't matter, and no one cares but me. So I'm like, why the fuck do I care?
I see.
You know, it kind of like just helped shake my fucking, like when you shake a baby, like that. It was just like,
Well, they usually die.
because it was just like, it's not important. This is important. Like what you do is more important than how you feel about it, to me. So then like, from that moment, I realized like, I started having days where like, it would slip my mind. I realized I wasn't thinking anymore about where I stood with people, and like I wasn't jealous about people all the time. I wasn't like, every time I met a new person, I was instantly finding everything that I like about them that I wish I had. Like, oh, I wish I looked like this guy. I wish I was, like had this guy's
Comparative
car.
reality
I wish
shit.
I had this guy's bike. Like I was always like envious about him. But then from that day, I was like, I think what I have now is okay.
And you think that happened because you won the competition, you have purpose or something, or?
I think to see that there was value in what I had to offer when they were like, if you guys hadn't joined us, we wouldn't have experienced this, was like, to see that the timeline changed for the existence of this team because of a decision that I had made.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck, it mattered. Like it actually really like mattered, and they were like really cool about it. The captain of that team is the same guy that you guys are flaming for the Tulsi Gabbard thing.
Oh, dude.
No way.
Embezzler boy?
Yeah, yeah, but they're really like good people. It's just it didn't end well, like for that portion. But yeah, but
that moment was crazy.
That moment was like, it was like an upset for the community at the time, because like these guys have never won any. They're just looked at as the class clowns of the dance.
Honestly, I remember that moment because it really was crazy. Obviously, like I was very close to Victor, and so like I was familiar with even who Ryan was, but if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't pay attention to Six Step that much. They were like a dope show to have, a performance in a group, but like they never won or anything. And you always thought that the people who were judging these competitions were usually judging the same way, so you just expected things to be a certain way. And when these guys came through, they just like took the whole fucking event like out of nowhere. So like people were genuinely like, whoa. And so I think that woke up and changed the culture of like how people perceived entertainment in that even ecosystem. You know what I mean? Because oftentimes it's like studio dance competitions too. It's like there's like this criteria of how you have to do certain things, or like what types of styles, or like, you know what I mean? And then you build your artistry around trying to win versus representing whatever it is you do. I honestly believe that when Six Step won, people started waking up to the idea of like representing yourself versus like doing, because back then you literally would be like, you have to have an intro, a boys piece, a girls piece, a duet, a locking piece, a breaking piece, a popping piece, and a closer. Right. Like it was formulaic, and it was so stupid now that you really look back on it. And when they came in and they were like the Lost Boys and they were just messing around, they were like ripping each other's clothes off or doing crazy explosive tricks and stuff, suddenly it was like, wait, you could just be entertaining. You know what I mean? As long as you're good, you can just be entertaining. And honestly, that was a huge shift in the culture of like our scene.
Right. Yeah, it was like, you know those movies, those typical films where like a motley crew of idiots makes a baseball team and they fucking suck and then they win the series. It was exactly that, except I got to see what happens after. I'm like, oh shit, like I feel like I could do cooler things now. Like if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have even, I wouldn't have had the inclination of like, oh, I could accomplish something like that. Like I just didn't think that. And I think with that captain, like, yeah, it ended up really bad where like some shit happened with money on the team, and then
embezzled funds happened.
Yeah, and then we left and shit. But then like years later, when I reconnected with that guy, like over a decade later, I was like, hey man, like just so you know, like for some of us, and this was a lot of people on the team that didn't have a college experience because we didn't get in and whatever, like this replaced that, and it might have been even better. And then we were just like, he was like in tears, like fuck, like that means so much, because like he's a lot older than us and he was kind of like a dad in a way, but he gave us something that like I would have probably, if not for dance at that exact point in life, I probably would have skipped straight into just being like a depressed loser and having really just get a regular job and just be sad all the time. You know what I mean?
Stealing was just tuition.
Yeah, it was like a protection fee for myself. But yeah, I think that the reason why that's so monumental to me is it really does mark the first time that it's not, again, like, this is my advice to people, it's not that I had a higher self-esteem, I just stopped being concerned about it, and I think that's what makes all the difference.
Now, when you shake hands, do you still?
Let me suck your dick, Daddy.